Niklas from Ingolstadt. I have heard that you entered the Camel GT Championship this year in the good old GTO car, so I wish you best of luck and a lot of success.
Best greetings to all drivers from the Audi GTO 90 Championship. Good success.
Zandvoort has seen a resurgence, with F1 returning for the first time in more than 30 years. But will the F1 drivers discover the same thing that most iRacers are already aware of? This is a tight, technical, and difficult circuit. Put two classes on there and you've got a recipe for some excitement. How will the Camel drivers handle today's race? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 5 of the iRacing Camel GT Series. And you'll see it all live here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Ryan Walker. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Crackers Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. 3.5 decades is a long time, so we probably have a few fans who haven't been introduced to this track yet. To give them a better idea of the layout, let's head down for our track guide.
All right, we're in the GSRC Audi, so let's do a lap around Zandvoort. Coming down to Tarzan, this is definitely going to be your best passing opportunity. Just be careful because it'll be very easy to get greedy and outbrake yourself into this corner. Notice how much more banking there is than you'd see on a typical road course built today. From there, you'll want to hug the left side and set up for Gerlach. This is very much single file into here, and it blends directly into Hugenholz. This is like a mirrored version of Tarzan, except it's got this steep uphill climb on the exit. It's important that you don't hesitate when getting to the power, because you're coming up to a fast section of the course. Now, in the Audi, Slotemacher isn't flat out, but you need just a short little lift to set yourself up properly. 5 might be flat out for some, but I prefer to get the car steady for the entry into Skivlak. This corner goes on forever, really testing your patience with the throttle. Now we've got a short burst up to Marlborough, which takes us into the newer infield section. The track never fully straightens out on its way into Renault, which is the first of 2 hairpins. The left side tires really take a pounding through this part of the circuit. You'll switch across the track on your way to the next one, which is Vodafone. This turn is a lot more important because once again, it dumps you onto a high-speed straight. It also comes up to a very heavy braking zone for the Audi S. This is about the only other place you're likely to see passes attempted, but drivers can easily get tangled up with one another if they try to enter side by side. From there, you come up to Kumho. You can take a surprising amount of curb to the inside without getting a cut course penalty, so tuck the car in low. In most cars, you won't be lifting until the first corner, but the Audi needs yet more patience, and then eventually you can really mash your foot down. Try not to understeer into the wall to the outside, and hopefully, if you kept it all together, you've now finished a lap around Zandvoort.
You see what it's like on board the Audi. Speed that up quite a bit, and you've got the Nissan, which is certainly going to have some different strengths around here. Ryan, I mean, what are you expecting between these classes? Tell us a little bit more about the track.
Yeah, it should be a close race today, Joe, especially on both classes, and it should be really tight. But some details about the track. It is 2.671 miles in length, or if you prefer to use kilometres, it is 4.299. It has an amazing 13 turns, some of them being tight and twisty in the middle sector. And the race length for today is a 40-minute race, or an estimated laps if you prefer to go off that. This is 28 laps.
We'll keep an eye on that as it goes on. But let's take a look at the championship. First of all, starting with the prototypes up at the top of there, Arto Iamaki has had a pretty good season thus far, but only has one win. Same thing with Justin Albrecht. Still, his consistency has pulled him a little bit away from Justin so far. Antti Lepisto, his fellow Finn, riding in third. Nick Lucanos and Rob Olenek round out your top five. Expect Rob to get up in the fray with his speed he has at times. What about the GTO standings, Ryan? How are those sitting?
So the man in form at the moment, currently leading the GTO standings, is Johnny Hagner with 3 wins this season so far. Second place with a consistent run, Michael Houghton. That's good. So yeah, Mike has been rewarded with that consistency in P2. Third place is Philip Lake. Philip's been there and thereabouts. He's not had the luck at all. Not in all the races so far. Joint fourth is Jamie Hall and Dennis Neidhard on 60 points. And rounding out the top 5 is Esko Letterman in 5th place with 48 points. So yeah, the man in form at the moment is Johnny Hagner in the GTO class.
Now, we have a special championship we're following once again this season. It's the Milk Zoo GTO Championship. This is only among Italian GTO drivers that they are scoring this. And Franco Scurri won last season. The champion is looking to repeat with quite a bit more than Juan Ignacio Giorduscia right now. So you can see he's built himself a handy little gap, and the way his form has been, it's going to be tough to try and overtake, especially since he tends to rack those results up as the races go by. Why don't we take a look at the race details as well, Ryan, just in case we have new viewers who haven't watched the Camel Series before.
Yeah, so some details about the race. This is round 5 of 12. The race length, as already mentioned, is going to be 40 minutes. The setup for these cars is open, so whatever changes you want to make, you are free to do so, be it tyre pressures, cambers, suspension, anything like that. There is no free repair in this race, so if you have an accident, there's no fast repair, you are out of the race, or your day is done possibly. Incidents for this race: if you get to 17x, you will get a penalty. 25x, you will be disqualified. So some of these drivers are going to have to be very, very careful in this race, with the track being so really small, I guess. Also, with both classes being on the track at the same time, it's going to require a bit of a cooperation between these guys, and maybe just be a little bit careful.
All right, now up at the top of the GTPs, it's Fabian Gerber who's got the provisional pole. Antti Lepisto's actually just getting ready to finish his second lap. He could take this away. He's quicker. It's a 23.259, but it's just shy of Fabian Gerber. So Lepisto is going to stay on the front row there, but not in first. Phil Lake is our leader. Provisional pole sitter in the GTO class. Ove Trangrade, who's been quick in the races this week, is sitting next to him. You talked about how it's a pretty narrow track out there and the differences between these two cars. I mean, for our viewers who don't understand what the difference in cornering between these two machines, I feel like makes such a huge difference out here, Ryan.
Yeah, the Nissan GTP, it's got a lot more downforce, it's got a lot more power, and also, yeah, it can take the corners a lot more quicker, unlike these Audi GTO cars that...
And Rolla just took the pole away in the GTO class, so that's going to bump Phil Lake down to second and Trangrade onto the second row. Interesting stuff there. We are waiting on a few of our drivers in the GTO class to finish out. Jamie Hall is one of them, and he's in 6th. Tends to be a little bit quicker than this. He takes 3/10 off, and there you go. He's up to 4th now. Sorry there, Ryan. What were you talking about with the difference in cornering?
Yeah, I was just saying that the Nissan's I should say, has a lot more downforce, a lot more aerodynamic grip. So yeah, they can carry a lot more speed into the corners. So, but these Audi GTOs don't have as much downforce or grip, and not a lot more or not as much corner speed. So it's going to be these Nissans, when it comes to lapping the Audis, are going to have to be careful. So it's going to be worth keeping an eye on to see how they get on during the race, and there could be some incidents if they're not careful.
Watching Kitty Engstrom come around to finish his lap, but he's slow. This is his second lap, so I guess he is not really excited about trying to finish this one. So that will set our grid, actually, as that should be everybody who can get a lap in. Checking just to see if anybody else can finish. See Lance Simon out there, but he is not nearly close enough to the end of the lap. So that indeed will set our grid. Let's go through the starting order. Fabian Gerber will be on the pole with Antti Lepisto next to him. Watch Kitty Engstrom only take one timed lap, and he felt like that was good enough. That put him up into third. Arto Iimaki will be to his outside with Fabian's brother Tobias Gerber starting in fifth. Fabian Jungbluth starts in sixth place with Nicholas Mukanos in seventh, and Martin Krejcik starts P8. The inside of row 5 has Laust Olsen there in ninth. Heitor Sintez Guindo will be starting in 10th. Clayton McLeod will be P11. Then you've got Vance Bow in 12th and Pablo Suarez starting 13th. Last of the field there, Mike Reuter 14th, John Keefe in 15th, and Roberto De Filippis in 16th. We mentioned Lance Simon did not get a time in. What's the Audis gridding up like?
So taking the pole position in the Audis is Vili Rola. Alongside him in the front row is Philip Blake. Behind them in row 2 is Owain Trenegred in third place. Fourth place is JB Hall, and then behind them in fifth place is Dennis Neuhardt, and Rob Olenek is alongside him. Milan Orozny is behind him as well. Nico Arulami, I hope I pronounced that right. Reid Miller is behind him, and then alongside him is Eske Letame. Daniel Sadler is alongside him. Behind him is Franco Scuri. Henry Macchiola is behind him, and then Aviminitz is behind him, and then behind them we've got Ramigo Di Pasqua, Juan Anacho Ayusi behind him, and then behind him we've got Hidayaki Koivisto, Joseph Elsbats, Alexander Nocera, Wolf Dietrich Hohu, and rounding out the grid behind them is Michael Haynes, Gareth Robichaud, and last in the grid in that class is Ryan O'Toole.
Just about got them all gridded up. They will have 3 rolling starts, so we'll get a full pace lap here. And you can see just how full the field is, as drivers will have a lot of cars to try and navigate around this track, which could be a defining factor in this race. There's no scheduled pit stops out here, Ryan, so really it's going to be all about, I imagine, like I said, that traffic and, well, having to make the passes on track. Absolutely.
I think it's going to be difficult for these Nissan GTP cars to lap the Audis, especially in the middle sector of this track, especially through the uphill and the twisty sections. So I think it's going to require them to be a bit patient, but on the other hand, it's a 40-minute race, so in hindsight, it's a bit of a sprint race for these guys up at the front. But in the Audis, it's going to be it's going to be a race where they're having to check the mirrors constantly every lap and every corner.
Fabian Gerber, who is on the pole, has won win himself so far this season. In fact, nobody has won twice yet so far in the prototypes. Andres Valenteus has the 4th one. We mentioned Iimaki and Albrecht, both with 1 win. Iimaki's out here, but I don't see Justin Albrecht here today. Indeed, no, he's not shown up. So this will be a good chance for Fabian to get a little bit higher up in the points, and for Iimaki to stretch away with one of our usual fast drivers not here. It's going to be awesome to see F1 return to this place. I've seen some of the old footage. I've watched some of the old races here, Ryan, and granted it was a different layout than what they've got today, but still some of these old corners, like we have the S's with Schlotemacher here heading up to Schivlach. Man, it's going to be amazing seeing how fast they can get the machines up, those modern machines up, before they hit these corners.
Yeah, I've seen some pictures on Twitter and Facebook, and some other pics on Google, some other websites as well, and the work that they're doing to this track to get it up to F1 standard is amazing. And unlike you, Joe, it's going to be amazing to see how quickly the modern F1 cars will be around here, especially around the sections like where the Audis are coming through as well now. And it'll be amazing to see how quick they can go through that corner. But I'm quite looking forward to seeing F1 returning here for the first time in I'm not sure how many years, but like you, I've watched the old videos on YouTube, and it's just Zandvoort, for me, it's one of my favourite tracks in real life and on iRacing.
And it's 35 years, as 1985 was the last time that F1 ran a race at this track. And one thing that I find fascinating too about this is that these drivers, or like you said, they've been doing changes since they scanned this here on iRacing and now, so it's going to look even more impressive. Now, if you think the Orange Army is everywhere when you go to other tracks surrounding the Netherlands, well, wait till they get a home race back. Max Verstappen will have his first home race ever in F1. We certainly should see a lot of orange everywhere once we show up here in real life. They come out of Hans Ernst now, and there's essentially 2 corners to go. Kumho and then Luijendijk. Then we go racing. Luijendijk, the Dutch racer I was more familiar with growing up, being over here in the States and being an IndyCar fan. Indy 500 winner Arie Luijendijk, of course, has his own fans over here in the Netherlands, this being his home country. So, as we come out of his named corner, the Porsche pace car is going to get ready to peel in, give control over to Fabian Gerber, and it is going to be a mad rush into Tarzan, the very first corner, with a lot of banking and not much room. Hopefully we can get everybody through. Pace car is in. Green flag is immediately out, and Gerber gets a very good jump. It's a horrible start for second place Yamaki. He's not only losing second position, it looks like third might go away down to his inside. I think that's Tobias Gerber trying to peel that one out, but it looks like we're fully clean through. Let's go to the Audis.
Good start for the Audis so far. Everyone's making it through turn 1 without any issues. As they're side by side through the uphill right-hander now.
We got a big wreck. Yeah, there's a big checkup happening in the prototypes, and that's causing all the Audis to have to slow up here. They're trying to pick their way through. One of the Nissan seems to be off pace. I think that's Vance Bow. Now they're getting going finally, but it is a mess back there.
Yeah, absolutely. I was about to say as well, there's a Nissan off in the background, but the current leader in the Audis at the moment is Willy Roller, followed by Philip Blake and Jamie Hall.
Yeah, that was Suarez who went off. Lance Simon, the last of the Nissans that stuck amongst them. There we see Ingstrom's moved himself up into second as he gives chase on Fabian Gerber down through Hans Ernst. A little bit messy outside the first corner, unfortunately, for both classes. Like you mentioned, Willy Roller is ahead of Lake right now, down in the GTOs. And as they come into Hans Ernst, Lake giving heavy chase as they've got to be passed by Lance Simon still, who's trying to recover from that initial incident. Certainly not making great inroads amongst this group.
As just looking back up at the front in the Audis as well, it's still Roller leading with Blake behind him, Jamie Hall behind him as well. Milan are not say in fourth place. Fifth place is Dennis Neidhard, and yeah, it looks like some of these Audis are slowly getting away from the rest behind them as a Nissan GTP car tries to squeeze up the inside of Roller and manages to get by just.
Yes, that was Simon trying to get by Rolla, certainly putting him offline and allowing Phil Lake to rock right up behind him. As they now come up the hill, looking on Tranquerade, he's got a little bit of damage on his car, and he's down in 6th in class now. So something must have happened to him on that first lap. There's so many cars getting bunched together. I wouldn't be surprised if there were just some light taps all through the field as everybody tries to slow up. Suarez returning. See him trying to go by Tranquerade. He's still got a few drivers to try and go through here. Not missing much up at the top of the GTPs. Gerber, Engstrom, Lepisto, and Gerber, Fabian leading, and Tobias in fourth, are still in the same positions.
Just having another look through the Audi field as well, and it looks like everyone's settled down at the moment, which I'm quite surprised about, because Zandvoort is a tight track. Well, such a tight track in some places as well. So everyone's done a good job so far, just keeping it clean, but still up at the front. And the Audis, it's Willy Rolla leading the class. Oh, is it a Nissan GTP spun around in the final corner?
Bow again? It is indeed, and that was right in front of the field. Most are able to avoid him. There you see him, the number 13, almost kind of stuck where he is. He has to wait for everybody to get through, and now he's finally got a little bit of a clearing as he gets it going. Let's look and see what happened, because I think he had a little bit of contact. Ooh, yeah, Arvelomi here, unfortunately to his inside. Boy, great job by those three cars behind trying to sneak through. That was Letaniemi, Reed Miller, and Franco Scurry, who just dodged a wreck.
Yeah, that was great avoidance by them. If that was me, I would have been, or I guess for those guys anyway, it would have been a heart and mouth moment. But back up at the front in the Audis, Willy Rolla and Philip Lake are starting to battle away for the lead. And yeah, fantastic stuff in the Audi class at the moment.
Yeah, Lake got to his outside, and now it's going to be once again inside going to Willy Rolla as they fight for the lead, just as they're approached by Suarez, who wants to get back ahead of this class. As they go through, Hans Ernst Lake can't quite sneak through, falls back into second, but clearly Lake has got some pace.
Yeah, I'm just watching him, and at the moment he seems to be, I don't know if Riola's just settling down into a rhythm as Lake runs a little bit wide on the exit of the final corner, but I don't know if Riola's struggling with setups or just sticking to a pace that he's comfortable with. But Lake at the moment
Side by side behind them as well. Oh, in contact, Jamie Hall almost gets tipped around and catches it. Powers out with the four-wheel drift, and Milan Arnozzi was the one that got into him. Let's take a look at the replay. You can see it was a great run there from Arnozzi. Hall gets the bump and it just keeps his foot planted. That third one in line, that's Dennis Neidhart in the green machine.
Great car control from Jamie Hall. I'm amazed that he managed to hold that. But yeah, I think it was just maybe the car behind was trying to do a cutback, and I just got cut out possibly by Hall just being a little bit slower in the middle of the corner.
Right on board with Dennis now. This has brought these three very, very close together. Just up ahead, you can see the top two have not separated by that much, but at least they've settled down for the moment. Coming down to break into Hans Ernst. Nobody peeling out for a pass attempt this time. Oh, but a little bit overshooting it. Milan Arnozzi has to gather it up. That not only pulls him away from Jamie Hall, but allows Dennis Neidhart to get even closer.
Just watching Neidhart now, and just notice that Neidhart has got a little bit of front end damage on his Audi, so it might affect the straight line speed. But just watching him now, it looks like he's managing to keep up with Milan in front of him.
I think we had a change for fourth in GTP. Iamaki and Tobias Gerber swap positions. This actually had to do with traffic already. If you watch Gerber coming through, this is Trangarade that's going to be in front of him through Shevelock. Woo! Wow! Four wheels into the dirt and keeps it from spinning, but not from losing the position. Iamaki sneaks through.
Just looking at the Audis again, and it's still at the front. It's Riola, Lake, Jamie Hall, Milan Arnozzi, Dennis Neidhart, and Rob Olenex, and looks like Rob Olenex been P5 on his own. P6, sorry, all on his own at the moment. So this pack in front is closing away a little bit, and behind Olenex is just no one behind him. So a bit of no man's land at the moment.
So we ride on board with Phil Lake, still chasing our leader, Villirola. His initial spate of speed has kind of gone away. Hasn't really challenged him since then. They have a ways before they are caught by the prototypes, who are still working through quite a few of the GTOs at the back of that pack. They come onto the front stretch. This is one of the best opportunities to try and overtake. Let's see if Lake can get the run. A little bit far back this time, it looks like. So they blast their way up towards Tarzan. Let's step away from that and watch Fabian try and weave his way through the back of the GTOs. Engstrom's keeping him honest here, Ryan. It's about 9/10 of a second. Oh, as Engstrom actually goes off. Engstrom nearly into the wall as he tries to lap to Pasqua. Just picked the wrong side, it looks like.
I'm just watching the replay and I'm amazed that Kiddy never binned that into the wall, but yeah, over that bump as well in the exit. But fair play to Kiddy, he held that very well, and he was so close to wiping out an Audi.
It shows you how marginal it can be trying to deal with that traffic. So obviously that did extend the gap a little bit between himself and Fabian Gerber. They're starting to get closer to the front as they've got Franco Scurry up next in 9th. And things might get a little bit more tense as the positions mean more to these GTO cars. There you see Gerber on screen coming out of 10, heading down towards Hans Ernst.
As Tobias is trying to get through some traffic at the moment, and I think it'll not be too long before the GTPs are coming up to lap the leaders in the Audi GTO classes. Gerber goes up the inside of Dan Sadro in the Audi, who's in the Audi class in that wonderful tic-tac livery.
Out on the front stretch once again. Gerber gets held up slightly this time by Reed Miller as he goes by him. So Engstrom gains it back down to about half a second. He's going to be eager to get through this Audi. That's Esko Letiniemi, who lets him through, thankfully. And that was a huge moment for Kiddy Engstrom, trying to cling to the back of the very quick Fabian Gerber.
Indeed, I think Kiddy will probably be breathing a sigh of relief big time after that, because from experience myself in multi-class races, it's not an easy thing to lap the slower cars in a much quicker class car. So yeah, Kiddy will be much happier after.
Meanwhile, as we look at the battle between John Keefe and Clayton McLeod, this is for 13th. Looks like they just had an overtake there, and boy, this was a really good job from John Keefe, honestly. It was instigated by a mistake from Clayton into Tarzan. Watch him have to catch this slide. He gets side by side here, Ryan, but the job's not done yet.
Yep, Keefe tried to go for the move, and McLeod made that mistake, but yeah, he didn't manage to get it done. And yeah, it's a good battle between both guys and giving each other a bit of respect and a bit of room as well.
Don't need to go to the replay on this, but Dennis Eidhart did get by Milan Arnozzi just as they are being overtaken by our leaders in the GTPs right now. There you can see them getting into the thick of it. Fabian Gerber picking his way through a little bit more carefully now. He comes up to the back of Jamie Hall, who sits in third. Hall's going to give him the inside. Now he can go on his merry way.
Yep, as these guys up at the front in the Audi class, they're still close together. Viola's he's not pulled away from Philip Lake like he was before. Lake's managed to catch that gap and they close it back down, and I think the traffic as well is not helping Villi at the moment.
Yeah, he had to, of course, let Gerber go through there. Up next is going to be Engstrom. They come down to Hans Ernst. think Lake's going to get the worst of this. There you see Kitty coming to the inside. Looks like he doesn't hold him up as he sneaks into the gap just in time.
Good, respectful driving from Kiddy. He didn't do anything silly. He didn't. As he tries to go for a move up the inside of. Jesus, I thought I was going to end up in contact.
Yeah, Rolla had to definitely give him the apex coming through Kumho there. And amazingly, he didn't lose too much time to Phil Lake in that. A few more coming up through Antti Lepisto and Artie Iamaki. The pair of Finns get to the inside yet again, but the traffic is not being kind to Philly.
Also, what you have to remember as well, these slower cars don't have to jump out the way. They're entitled to stick to the line. It's the responsibility of the faster class cars to get around them safely and predictably. So, but most of the drivers in the GTPs at the moment have been very respectful, but they don't want to lose too much time with people behind them but trying to catch them.
Yeah, almost like seems like a game of anticipation. You just kind of have to know what the other driver is going to do in that moment. Rolla still holding on to the lead. Gives us a chance to check in with 6 in the prototypes, which is going to be coming up to them soon. Fabian Jungbluth being chased by Nick Mukanos here.
Is it try and get around who I believe that is Jamie Hall in the Audi GTOs that tried to get around him safely, but Jungbluth is he's trying not to lose too much time in the traffic, but on the other hand, you can't go around making silly moves when lapping traffic, otherwise you'll ruin your own race and also the driver and the slower class cars race as well. But right behind Jungbluth is Mukanos as he tries to get a good run in the exit of the final corner.
Wow, just absolutely weaving through them like it's a slalom. That certainly wasn't fun for Rolla and Lake, but no harm, no foul. Mukanos stays back in 7th without an opportunity on Jungbluth. Riding on board Fabian now, looking back at Nick, just separated by about 0.3 of a second in all of this.
Absolutely. He's just looking throughout the field as well to see if there's any other battles at the moment, and the only battles I can find is at the front and in both classes, so it seems to have settled down a little bit.
And incredibly, even though it's close in some spots in both of the front classes, the difference in handling the traffic seems to really be separating the men from the boys, if you will. Because Engstrom a whole 4 seconds back from Gerber in the prototypes, and then we've even got a 7-second gap from Jungbluth to Tobias Gerber from 6th to 5th. Those prototypes have really found themselves spread apart in some ways. And I think we've had a problem with Roberto De Filippis, the prototype who's number 28. It's outside of Shivlak. There he gets going once again. Let's look at the replay, exactly what happened here. Being chased by that, looks like John Kieft, who looks on his inside. Oh, he caught the inside grass. That spun the 28 around. Thankfully did not hit anything. But, of course, he was sent down multiple positions with that mistake.
Yeah, it's an easy mistake to make around Zandvoort if you catch the curbs ever so slightly, especially in that long right-hander in the first or middle sector. It can unsettle the car and loop you around, as we just saw there. But yeah, it looks like I'm just looking at Jamie Hall, and he's still under pressure from Dennis Neidhard, and right behind Neidhard as well is Milo Arnossi.
Yeah, they're all separated by about 0.6 of a second between them. As they come up to that very corner into Shivlak. Oh, but Neidhart goes wide. And behind them, accidents happening with GTP cars as Neidhart comes back on, almost causing another accident. That was Laust Olsen who had a mistake there mid-corner. I'm amazed we didn't have a wreck out of that. Oh, and we're not done yet. There's someone spinning. That was Heitor Sintez Gallindo. It is all kicking off here. Let's go look at this whole thing happening. This all starts with Dennis Neidhart, who just takes too much speed into the corner, And then behind them, Laust Olsen checks up, trying not to get into the back of Milan Arnozzi. There you see right there the yellow car. That actually gives a position to Sintez Guindo, and then Guindo gives it right back in the very next corner.
A bit of a gentleman, a bit of good sportsmanship there, I should say. But Neidhart rejoining the track just about caused an almighty wreck. I don't think Dennis meant that it wasn't intentional from Dennis, but it's just he was just a passenger on the grass, and when he came back on, a bit of a concertina effect happened.
I don't know if it was sportsmanship from Sintez Guindo. I think that was a mistake, as he's actually come into the pit since. He must have some sort of damage. Meanwhile, prototypes are getting close for second place. Engstrom, who before was pressuring Gerber, is getting a taste of his own medicine, as Antti Lepisto is right behind him.
So I'm not sure what happened to Kiddy. If he might have lost time in the traffic, but Antti Lepisto is just caught right up to him, and on the exit of the final corner he might be able to get a good run as he comes up to lap some more Audi GTO cars.
Trangrade they're going by. Trangrade down in 17th in his class. He definitely must have gotten into some trouble at the start of this race for him to be so far down, especially with the speed that he had in the earlier races in the week. Ooh, things are getting pretty tight down here through Hugen Holtz. That is Josef Erlbach that they're going by, actually going off into the dirt, and some contact between himself and I believe that was Lepisto. Wow. So Lepisto actually has to go into the grass initially, and as he comes back on, Erlbach gets a rude shove himself and a trip through the grass.
Just watching the replay myself, and it looks like I don't like to lay the blame on anyone. It's because Zandvoort is such a tight track, but I think it was one of those situations that the 2-1 just doesn't go.
Yeah, he was in a hurry to try and get by, and well, like you said, there just wasn't enough room. As we take a look at Lepisto to see if there's any damage on the car. I think it was a light enough touch. I'm not really seeing anything significant from the angles we're getting.
I'm just having a look myself, and the only thing I can notice is maybe a bit of slight rear wing damage on the rear possibly, but nothing major.
And, well, he separated himself from Iamaki for sure, but he has lost touch with Engstrom slightly. Farther down in this class, Laust Olsen is being chased down by John Keefe and Mike Reuter. Now, Keefe did not seem to qualify well, which we're kind of used to from the Hoosier, but his race, he's up to 10th after starting this thing in 15th.
Yeah, it's been a good run from John so far. He's kept out of trouble so far. He's up into P11 in class at the moment, and if anyone else in front of him starts having issues in the race,
Sorry, Antti Lepisto just had contact with a GTO car, and this has given up a position. Let's look at the replay. This starts into Shivlak. Iamaki's the one that takes advantage of it, but Lepisto, contact coming off the exit, sends both he and the GTO into a near spin. It was pretty hard contact, too. Lepisto, despite, let's see, he started on the front row, did he not? Yeah, he did. So he lost that second place at the very start of the race, and ever since then, it's just been a bit of a slog for him today, unfortunately.
I was watching him on the outside of the long right-hander, the long right-hander, and he tried to go around the outside of a GTO car, and if that was me, I would have just sat behind the car and just waited a little bit. I mean, I can say that sitting here when I'm not racing, but I guess when you're in the race and you've got adrenaline pumping, it kind of it doesn't come to your mind sometimes.
Yeah, certainly you've got to make those split-second decisions. We can see him continuing on. Iamaki trying to hold off Lepisto. Or no, excuse me, that's Tobias Gerber behind Lepisto now. trying to give chase on him. Gerber himself started exactly where he sits right now, 5th place, so I'm sure he's eager to get one position higher as they come down to Hans Ernst.
Just looking at the battle back in the GTO class as well. It looks like Milan Arnorzi is still under pressure from Dennis Neidhart behind him. So still plenty of battles going on through the field. And at the moment, this is the battle for P4 in the GTO class. And still plenty of battles going on in the class at the moment.
And I think that changed position because Rob Olenek, who was ahead of them, had an off and gave up multiple spots, or if he wasn't ahead, he was just behind them. And he's in pit lane. Yeah, something must have happened, so it wasn't just an off track. Oh yeah, this is about roughly a minute ago. He himself and Ryan O'Toole had to coming together. This is coming onto the back stretch. See if we can find it. Yeah, we'll have to go about 30 seconds more back, it looks like. Just before this. Yeah, here we go right here. You can see it's a nice little battle with the number 40. That's O'Toole. And he was just beyond him, but O'Toole took a shallow line. Oh. And it was clumsy in the end.
I think he might have been trying. He took a shallow line and maybe he was trying to get a cutback, but as you say, Joe, it was just a bit of clumsy driving. It wasn't major or anything, but I just spotted that Ryan O'Toole is possibly thinking about parking it up. So unfortunate, but it's one of those things that happens, and especially in multi-class racing.
We're going to check out Phil Lake, who's still trying to chase down Ruola. Amazingly, in all of this, he stayed within 0.7 of a second of Philly. And we've only got 15 minutes left. They are going to have, I believe that's the leader coming through soon. Yeah, Fabian Gerber is approaching now to the back of this top 5. Through Shevlock. What can Lake do? He had a go once, but we really haven't seen an attempt since then. Time's going to run out eventually, so he's got to do something.
I'm quite surprised that Lake has managed to keep up with Ruola for this long. I mean, normally the Glacier Racing guys or Ruola or the likes of Johnny Hagner are normally the long gone in this race, but credit to Philip Lake, he's managed to keep up with Ruola and keep up the pace, and maybe at some point Ruola will make a mistake when the Nissan GTPs come around.
Yeah, it's become some bit of a rivalry here between Glacier and Dirty Torque, which Phil Lake drives for. They find themselves close to one another quite often. Gerber comes right through. He picks a perfect time to try and pass, not interrupting, at least for the moment. And who we got coming back out? That's Olenek after getting repairs. He's returning to the track. Meanwhile, P4, Milan Arnorzi. In the GTP class, rather, side-by-side action between Lepisto and Gerber, but Gerber's held back.
Yeah, I'm just looking to see if Gerber's just waiting to try and make a move heading onto the home straight, but Lepisto seems to have lost his composure a little bit after some mistakes he's made during the race, but Gerber is just right behind him, and he's maybe just waiting to see if as he come up to that. Lepisto!
He keeps his foot in it and going around the wrong side of Dennis Neidhart. He keeps the position and doesn't take Neidhart off course. So learned his lesson from the last car, not causing a wreck there coming off the exit of Shevlock. Gerber sneaks through. Tobias managing to stay with it as they leave Milan Arnorzi behind. Up next is Jamie Hall just in front as they swing it down and through Hans Ernst. One's going to get through, but not two. Jamie Hall nearly making contact there with Gerber. Just inches between them down through Lyondike. They are extremely lucky with how fast those cars are going through there. That did not send them both to the barrier.
I was watching that at the time, and Jesus, mamma mia, that's all I can say.
So they both keep going. Got a little bit of a close battle between Lettiniemi and Reed Miller for 6 in the GTOs. Oh, and sorry to interrupt it, but De Filippis has wrecked out. This is the number 28 we saw the problem earlier, and Shivlak. And they get right in front of Pablo Suarez, who sneaks through. This is De Pasqua, who makes contact here. The two Italians, unfortunately, well, I guess they made some spaghetti here.
I like that one, but yeah, anyway, I'm just looking back at the Audi GTO classes, and Riola has managed to pull away a little bit again from Philip Lake. That might have been because of the traffic coming through. That gap has went up a little bit between them, but we've still got about, I believe, about 10 or 15 minutes remaining in this race, so yeah, Philip could possibly close that gap back down.
Oh, and something's happened to John Keefe as well. Has he got it going? He's still stationary. Check the replay. Oh, he blows his engine. Right there. Wow. So he has to take a tow. Is this maybe a downshift situation here, Ryan?
Just watching the onboard to see what happened. I mean, it's quite possible. It could be he might have shifted down into the wrong gear, maybe into second gear by accident, and it just caused the revs to go sky high, and boom, she went.
It's not the first time that's happened here in the Camel Series. Unfortunately, getting a little too aggressive. John Keefe ruins his good climb through the field. Meanwhile, we've come to the battle between Miller and Lettiniemi. This is for 6 here in the GTOs. And it's Michael Haynes just ahead of them, so that's not for position. That's a lapped Audi up there. On board with Miller. He's getting awful close. They're going to be joined by some Nissans here soon. Oh, looking for a potential 3 wide. That's Reuter and Olsen. Olsen has to back it up. Reuter's got no place to go. They get by the lap GTO car and off and around the outside. Ooh, this is awful close. Reuter not going to take, the chance down into Hans Ernst. Not willing to get this risky with so much traffic around.
And in that case as well, with the Nissan GTOs coming through, Reed has lost a bit of a gap to Lettiniemi.
Kitty Engstrom has had contact and he's lost second place. This is with Wolf Dietrich Hotho. So Iamaki now up into second. And I think Engstrom is heavily damaged because he is limping.
Yeah, he's really, really slow in the grass as the replay is up on the screen right now, looking at Kitty Engstrom to see what happened, and I'm not sure what happened. He might have just lost it and hit the wall, possibly.
Well, no, he runs into the back of a GTO car. Oh, I see why. That GTO was way out wide. He did not expect him to swing back down. Kitty took the open gap, and that gap disappeared unexpectedly. He's just trying to take it back to the pit, see if he can get some repairs and get something out of today. That is a shame because he had a good second place wrapped up before that incident. As far as the GTPs go, that leaves us really with only the battle for third between Lepisto and Tobias Gerber. Of course, Olsen and Reuter a little farther down. Well, actually, here we go. We've got Clayton McLeod. He's usually a little bit quicker than this. So as these guys all will gain a place from Engstrom, who's just pitted, there'll be a battle for 8th now.
Unfortunate for Engstrom, but as you say, Joe, everyone gains a position after his incident. But I'm still looking at the GTO class at the moment with the Audis, and it looks like Riola's just managed to pull away from Lake a little bit.
Yeah, got it up to about 1.3 seconds. It's a little bit closer for 3rd place. Jamie Hall, Lake's teammate, still being chased by Arnotzi. Right on board with Milan, looking ahead. This is a driver who has really shown what can happen when you focus and practice and really try to improve, because what was once a mid-pack driver, he fights for wins and podiums now. Milan at one point was even in the hunt for a championship one season.
It just proves that if you put your mind to it and you put in the time and the effort and the practice to try and do well, you can be rewarded, as we're being shown right now with Milan up in P4 at the moment, and not far behind Jamie Hall. And yeah, he's putting Jamie Hall under a lot of pressure, or he's put Hall under a lot of pressure for most of this race. So he's been going about his business and keeping out of trouble, and hopefully he can try and make Hall crack under pressure.
We've only got 5 minutes left to go. We've lost a decent amount of drivers at this point. Makalua, Bao, O'Toole, Gayindo, Koivisto is gone. Sadro, sadly, out of this race. Didn't cover him, leaving, of course, John Keefe is gone. And then recently, Kitty Engstrom has entered the pits. We're not sure if he'll have time to return. As we watch, and Olsen gets in the mix and suddenly gets turned around. Who was that running into him? That was Arnotzi. That was the very battle we were just watching, and Arnotzi had just caught up to Hall. Was almost getting side by side. Excuse me, no, that was a lapped car that was side by side with Hall. And with that battle having such high tensions, I guess Arnotzi was really not interested in giving... I think Reuter just got a tip too, live now as we watch this replay. And this one was for Jamie Hall. So both of our drivers in this GTO class have had contact recently with GTPs. We're going to watch Reuter. This happens down into Hans Ernst, so this should happen relatively soon here. Just 2 corners up. You can see he's made it by... that's Arnotzi that he's just gone past, and that is Hall just in front of him. Sticks his nose in, and unfortunately, oh wow, and then he gets a second hit there from Clayton McLeod. Clayton gets 2 positions in 1 lap and climbs to 8th out of that.
Clayton's been having a good race. It's been a bit of a quiet race for Clayton. He's normally much quicker than this, but he's been keeping his nose clean, and he's up into 8th place at the moment. And there's a battle for P3 in the GTP class is going on at the moment.
Yeah, that's Gerber and Lepisto. And I think, did Lepisto get it or fend it? No, he fended him off. Wow. Which is impressive because Gerber really had a tremendous run. I was watching it as you were covering the last of that replay, and I thought for sure that Gerber was going to get this spot.
Yeah, I don't think Lepisto's not going to let him go that easy. As they come up to lap an Audi GTO car, and they manage to get round to him just, as Lepisto just about runs wide.
I think they got about 2 laps to go here. Try and get this done as we ride on board with Antti Lepisto ahead of Gerber. 2nd place to 3rd for Antti is trying to limit the damage here. Yamaki, who leads the championship, is currently ahead of him on track Lepisto's third in the championship, so at this point, just trying to keep from losing too much ground to his fellow Finn.
I think it's just going to be a matter of just salvaging whatever result he can get to help in the championship. Fabian Gerber up at the front is well gone. He's about 4.1 seconds ahead, and I think this is going to be the battle for the last couple of places on the podium.
Wonder if Lepisto is struggling for straight line speed, because Gerber once again gained a lot along the front stretch. They lapped Daniel Sadro, who has returned. I spoke too soon. He has not DNF'd. He's going to try and take the checkered flag. Reed Miller also getting out of the way. He sits 7th in the GTOs. Back and forth through traffic. That was much kinder to Lepisto than it was to Gerber. Certainly not giving up. Minute and a half left to go. I can tell you that Fabian Gerber is going to get the white flag within a couple corners. There's our overall leader, Fabian Gerber. And he might actually lap our leader in the GTOs here on this lap. Whoa, who is that on the front stretch? That was Phil Lake. Phil Lake from second place. And it was his own mistake. He dips a wheel off with 1 lap to go and slams it into the wall. You were just talking about Phil Lake's bad luck in this season, not in just this season, but in the past 5 seasons. This poor guy just can't seem to get the results that his pace deserves.
Yeah, I think it might have been a sign that I just jinxed Phil. I'm sorry, Phil, but he was having a good run, and unfortunately made that mistake on the exit of the final corner and just bounced over the curb and just crashed into the wall. That was so unlucky for Phil, but that's allowed his teammate Jamie Hall into second place and Milano Norte up into third place.
Everybody gets bumped up 1 except for Ruola, which has just been passed by Fabian Gerber. So he will finish on this lap. And Gerber still dealing with quite a lot of traffic himself. He's got a gap of about 3 seconds back to Ardo Iamaki right now, so he's not really under a whole lot of threat. He can take it easy. Coming off of the final corner, Fabian Gerber. He started it on pole, and he's going to finish it there. Victory for the multi-time champion here, Fabian Gerber. As he crosses the line, Willi Ruola comes across right behind him and wins in the GTO class as well. Tobias Gerber still hunting for that podium on Antti Lepisto. Can he join his brother on there? It's not looking likely. Even though he's quick off of the final corner, Lepisto holds him back and takes that third place. In 6, Nick Mukanos being hunted by Martin Krejcik. It's probably the least we've mentioned Krejcik in a race for a while, but unfortunately he can't get one last spot at the end here. Down in the GTO cars, Nenad Ivanovic and Joseph Erlbach. Erlbach's trying to recover from his earlier problems. Also got Jordusha. Oh, and Jordusha just stopped. So actually, are these drivers might already be done, I think. Yep, looks like they have already finished their race. So this has been settled. I think that's all of our battles out on track. So as the last of them trickle across the line, let's take a quick break here on the Global Sim Racing channel. We'll come back with the official results as well as driver interviews. So stick around because you'll see all the upcoming races here on GSRC. welcome to Zandvoort. We got a lot of action out on track, and we talked about traffic being an issue, most likely. Well, that definitely came true. A number of GTPs found themselves with a race compromised when getting tripped up. Fabian Gerber was not amongst those, although he had a lot to try and get through on the final lap. His gap went down to 1.5 seconds at the line to Ardo Iamaki. It's a good thing he built up the gap that he did. Antti Lepisto managed to get third despite also finding himself turned around and hitting other cars. Tobias Gerber was just off the podium in fourth, with Fabian Jungbluth finishing P5. Nick Mukanos was sixth, and then you've got Martin Krejcik, who was chasing him all the way to the finish, finishing seventh. Clayton McLeod, despite a little bit of a tip, managed to survive where others did not and took eighth place. Laust Olsen, a lot of action out there for the ninth place finisher. Pablo Suarez rounds out your top 10 with Roberto De Filippis, unfortunately finding himself out of the race late in 11th. Mike Ruder 12th and Lance Simon in 13th. Ryan?
Taking the win in the Audi GTO class was Villarola. Finishing in second behind him was Jamie Hall. Third place and rounding out the top three was Milan Anorci in third. Philip Lake was running in second for most of that race, but unfortunately made that mistake when heading into the final lap, finishes in fourth. Dennis Neidhart finishes in fifth. Finishing in sixth was Reid Miller. Esko Letanemi finished in seventh. Finishing in eighth was Franco Scura. Ninth place was Nico Arlimi in ninth. Sorry. Ove Chengrard finished in 10th. Then I had Ivanitz finished in 11th, Joseph Elbats in 12th, 13th was Juan Anicho Jardotza, 13th, if you can round out, Joe, because my iRacing's just crashed, my apologies.
It's okay. You can see these are mostly drivers that have finished multiple laps down, unfortunately. So this is the end of the field, some of them DNFs for the day. We've got Fabian Gerber, our winner in the GTPs, with us. And Fabian, it looked like it was a bit of a stressful last lap for you.
That you can say that, yes. Yeah. It shortened my life, definitely. It was I nearly got a heart attack there. Cars everywhere in front of me.
Yeah, we were saying it seemed like it came in handy that you had built up the gap that you had on that last lap, because it definitely kept you safe. Do you kind of try and do that? Do you try to get yourself that little bit of buffer in case you find yourself in situations like that?
Yeah, it's the goal to do that. But usually a guy like Arto or Antti are fast enough so you can't do that. So usually it doesn't make a lot of sense to try to make a gap, because you can lose it by one lap when the traffic comes. So I often don't do it, but as soon as I have it, I try to keep it as it is.
Now, obviously, a big talking point with this track coming back to the F1 calendar was us talking about what it's going to be like for F1. Obviously, this car is a little bit different, but with your experience out there, I mean, what are you expecting when we see the real-life big boys come here?
Yeah, I think it's... I'm not sure if it's really a Formula 1 track for these days, but with the new last turn they're going to make, it should be okay. It actually lengthens the front straight, so overtaking could be possible. Otherwise, it would be impossible, I think.
It'll certainly be fun to watch, especially based on what we saw today. Again, congratulations, and hopefully we'll get to talk to you more throughout the season.
Thank you very much. See you soon.
Fabian Gerber becomes the first driver to win twice this season in the Sunday Championship here for the Camel Series. Up next, Ryan has caught up with Phil Lake, who unfortunately had to settle for fourth in the end.
Phil Lake having such a great race in second, and had that error heading into the final lap and hit the wall. Yeah, that was a bit unlucky, Phil. Talk about the race from your view.
Yeah, it was a good race up until then. I was quite surprised I was able to keep up with Vil. He had really strong pace yesterday, and I got my lap count a little bit wrong. I started pushing really hard when I thought there was about 3 laps to go, but there was about 5 laps to go, and I really destroyed the tyres. and then the last couple of laps were pretty bad. It was really difficult to hang on to the car, and then there was that little situation with the lap cars where I was kind of went like 3 wide with a lapped Audi and the Nissan coming through lapping me, and I was a bit offline, and I just missed the exit there. And I know from experience in the past that bit of grass there is pretty deadly. So it was a shame it ended like that.
I mean, you were keeping up with Vili for most of the race, and we were quite surprised watching you that you kept up with him for so long, and you were putting him under pressure. But were you surprised yourself, or were you confident from practice that you could keep up with him? Because we know the Glacier Racing guys are really, really quick in this series.
Yeah, I was surprised. Usually my race pace stays quite strong through the whole, for the whole race, and the Glacier guys usually drop off just a tiny little bit towards the end. So staying close, I knew I had a small chance if I could stay there, and then I just needed a break with the traffic, and if I could have got alongside him anywhere, I would have had a chance. But Vil drove a really, really strong race. He didn't make any mistakes, so congrats to him.
Good stuff. Well, thanks for joining us, Phil. And I was really unlucky again for what happened to you, but I guess 4th place is still a good result, and we look forward to seeing you on track at Barcelona next week.
Yeah, I'll see you guys there. Thanks.
That was 4th place finisher Phil Lake. You can tell was just a bit disappointed with that one. So we're going to close up with that being the last of our interviews, with a big thank you to the Camel Series for bringing us back for another season of coverage. But also we want to thank the companies that provide the software and the hardware for our broadcast. You can see them listed here on your screen. Additional thanks go to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. And also thanks to the team today, Ryan, Sean, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. You can check us out on social media as well. Twitter is @GSR Channel, Facebook, Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram is GSRC_Graham. We've also got a merchandise store that you can check out. It's linked below, gsrc.storenvy.com. And you can check out some of the awesome gear that we've got on sale. The next race, well, if you like F1 tracks like this one is going to be, well, we've got Barcelona next. That'll be Saturday, January 18th at noon Eastern. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. Until next time, though, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.